Okay, let's see what we get. First one. You have the 4x cubed, the 3xy squared, and then the 2xy squared. What do you do with the 4, the 3, and the 2? And you get 24. What do you do the x to the third and x to the first? Yeah, so 3 plus 1 is 5. And then y squared will be y to the fourth. So your answer should be letter J. N to the 7th to the 11th is like n to the 7th times n to the 7th times n to the 7th times so on and so forth. You do that 11 times. So you could either add up 7 11 times, or you could take 7 times 11. You get n to the 77th. Number 30, it says if n to the x divided by n to the y is equal to n squared for all n not equal to 0, what must be true? Well, I'm going to try to come up with n squared. I'm going to have n to the 9th over n to the 7th. Does everybody agree that that gives me n squared? You got 9 up top, you got 7 on bottom. So if I were to write this out, actually let's try a little bit different one. I'll write it like this. N to the 5th over n to the 3rd. It'll be like n times n times n times n times n over n times n times n. So you can see that as you divide, 3 of those will cancel, leaving you with n squared on the top. So what's true is that if you subtract the exponents, you get 2. So that's the idea. That's what they're trying to go for in that situation. All right, so operations with common bases. If you have, say, x to the 4th times x to the 7th, that's x to the 11th. If they have the same bases, we add the exponents. So a to the x times a to the y is a to the x plus y. A to the x plus y. In this situation, you have a power to a power, so you multiply the exponents. A to the m times n. A to the m times n. And if we're dividing, we subtract the exponents. A to the s minus r. A to the s minus r. So let's try some problems together. I'm not going to do all these, but we'll choose an assorted few. And we'll start nice and easy. Problem number 1. 3x squared times 5x to the 5th. What do I do with the 3 and 5? 15. What do I do to the exponents? So I get 15x to the 7th. If you look at number 2, again, the 2 and 9 are what we call coefficients. The coefficients, you do whatever you're told to do. So it says multiply. So 2 times 9 is 18. But the exponents we will add. 3 plus 5 is 8, and 5 plus 2 is 7. So 18, x to the 8th, y to the 7th. Please try number 3 on your own. Try 3 on your own. Go ahead. You check your answer. We should have 14, a to the 6th, b to the 11th, c to the 5th. Did I do that correctly? Okay, let's check out number 5 then. How is number 5 different? You do have to distribute. So you can distribute multiplication over addition or subtraction. 4x squared times 3x to the 5th, that's 12. X to the 7th. And 4x squared times 6x to the 4th, you get 24x to the 6th. Try number 6 on your own. finish that one up, you can look up and check. I have 6x cubed, y to the 12th, minus 12x squared, y to the 9th. Did I do that correct, or did I make a mistake? Good? Okay. How's about number 7? X to the 3rd to the 4th. That means x to the 3rd times x to the 3rd times x to the 3rd times x to the 3rd. Now, you don't have to write it out like that every time. But if you get confused about what you do, you could. You can see in this situation, as you add the exponents, you get x to the 12th, which would be the same as multiplying and getting x to the 12th. So those being the same things. For number 8, we have 2x squared y to the 5th times 2x squared y to the 5th times 2x squared y to the 5th. So what's different here is we have a coefficient of 2. What do we do with that 2? Do you take 2 times 3, or do you take 2 times 2 times 2? 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. So 2 to the 3rd power is 8. Then what do I do to my exponents? Yep, here you multiply them, here you add them. So we'll multiply them here, we get 6, and then y to the 15th. For number 9, I take negative 3 to the 4th. Let's do that together. What's negative 3 times negative 3? 9 times negative 3? Negative 27 times negative 3? Positive 81. Then it's going to be a to what power? 12, b to the 4th, and c to the 20th. You try number 11 on your own. Do each of those terms separate and then multiply them together. See what you. All right. Let's see what we got here. This should be x to the 15th, y to the 6th, times x to the 6th, y to the 8th. So I've gotten rid of those exponents there. Now it's time to multiply them together. 15 plus 6 is 21, so I have x to the 21st. And 6 plus 8 is 14, be y to the 14th. Is that what you got? All right, then you help me with number 12. I wouldn't question that. 2x to the 4th cubed. For today. All right, here we go. So I'm going to cube this. What is 2 cubed? Times x to the 12th. So I just got done with that piece. And now I got to move on to the second one. 3 squared. And x to the 5th squared. Now that I've reduced it to this, now I can multiply them together. And 8 times 9 is 72, and x to the 22nd. All right, good. Flip it over. So last piece. What's different about these problems on the back? We're dividing, yep, and so we're going to subtract some exponents. X to the 6th over x to the 4th makes x to the 2nd. So look at this next one. I have 10 over 5. Is that going to be 5 because I subtract the coefficients, or do I divide them to get 2? I do, for coefficients, I do whatever I'm told. 10 divided by 5 is 2. X to the 3rd over x squared. If you subtract them, you get 1. Is it going to be in the top or the bottom? You have x times x over x times x. You have x cubed over x squared. So those will cancel, leaving you with an x in the top. How about y to the 3rd over y to the 7th? Are there more in the top or bottom? There's more in the bottom. So your y's are going to end up in the bottom. How many will there be in the bottom? 4. If you subtract, you get 4. Look at example 3. 8 over 12. What is 8 over 12 reduced to? 8 and 12 are both divisible by 4, so we get 2 over 3. Let's look at the x's. Are you going to have x in the top or the bottom? Bottom. How many are there? 6. How about the y's? Top or bottom? How many in the top? What makes example 4 different? We're going to do example 4 and 5 and we'll be done. What makes 4 different? You have a negative exponent. Anybody remember what you do if you have a negative exponent? You move it. You move it. So this x to the negative 6, it moves up. So we have x to the 3rd times x to the 6th. And we get x to the 9th. So if you ever see negative exponents, just move them. So for the next problem, I have 3 on top, I have 9 on bottom. Where does the x to the negative 3rd go? Goes to the bottom and make x to the 3rd. Y to the negative 4th goes to the bottom to make y to the 4th. X squared, that stays right where it is, in the bottom. Y to the negative 5th, that's got to move to the top. So whenever you see a negative exponent, move it to where it's not. Now we evaluate. What is 3 over 9 going to simplify to? 1 over 3. Let's look on the bottom. X to the 3rd times x squared. What's that going to give me? X to the 5th. And then I have y to the 5th over y to the 4th. Is it going to be in the top or bottom? 1y in the top. And that's that. If you know